Hi, good morning, friends. So, welcome back after 2-3 days of, and say we had break and celebration of Dream Festival, and so after that, I hope you are already returned back to the normal mode, the study mode. So, I hope you remember the topics that we were dealing with, the topic about the soil. So we saw the factors that was responsible for the soil formation, and we saw to form a 1 centimeter thick soil, it needs hundreds of years. So that shows how valuable the soil is. The soil is not just produced every day, but it takes hundreds of years to make a little thick soil. And so we need to take care of this soil. And so today we shall see how this soil that is formed after hundreds of years, how it is degraded. Degrade means lose the quality. How does the soil lose its good quality? How the grade is lost? How the quality is lost? You can follow in your textbook, page number 14. So, soil degradation and conservation measures. So, we will also see what are the, after finding out or after discussing how the soil is losing its quality or grade, and we will see how we can preserve the grade of the soil, the quality of the soil. What are the measures that we can take in order to preserve and protect the soil from being degraded? So let's see. Soil erosion and depletion are the major threats to soil as a resource. You can underline in your textbook. Two major threats. One is soil erosion. Soil erosion means the soil is washed away, and it happens when the ground is in a slopy area. In the slopy area, the water flows very fast, and along with the water, the soil is washed away. It is just washed to the down, and it may reach the river, and later it will be carried to the sea, ocean, and so on. And second reason is depletion. The soil is getting depleted. So if the topsoil is washed away, then it becomes thinner and thinner. It gets depleted. It becomes smaller or thinner and thinner. And the topsoil is very important. That is the most fertile soil for cultivation, and therefore we need to protect it. So both human and natural factors lead to degradation of soil. We said two most major threats to soil are soil erosion and soil depletion. And now, who is responsible for this soil erosion? Who is responsible for this soil depletion? So two factors are there. First of all, we ourselves, the human beings, are responsible for the soil depletion. And secondly, the nature. Sometimes due to the natural occurrences like earthquake, landslide, and so on, soil can be lost. But the main culprit, the main reason behind of the degradation of the soil is human beings themselves, because we do so many activities on the soil that reduce the quality of the soil, that cause the soil to get eroded, and so on. Then factors which lead to soil degradation are, so let us say we said human beings are responsible for the soil erosion, and let's see how the human beings are responsible, or what are the activities of the human beings that lead to the degradation of the soil. First we can see it is deforestation. I hope you know what is deforestation. All of you know what is forest, isn't it? So deforestation means cutting down the trees, cutting down the forest. That's called deforestation. So one factor that leads to soil degradation or soil erosion is deforestation, and another one is overgrazing. Overgrazing means the animals are eating the grass from the same place again and again. So what will happen? So that is a place where lot of animals are there, especially the domestic animals like cows, buffaloes and other animals that are eating grass. If you feed them with the same grass in the same place over and over, what happens? The first time they will eat what the top part, the leaves they will eat, then that leaves are over, again they are given the same place for grazing, then they will be pulling out even the roots of the grass. So afterwards the land will become completely bare. There will be nothing to support the land or protect the land. All the roots of the grass will be lost. So we should not allow the animals to overgraze from the same place. They should be given different place so that we will allow the grass to grow. When the grass are growing, the roots are there. The roots will protect the soil. If animals are sent there again and again, they even pull out the root. When there is no more grass, they will try to bite and pull out even the root of the grass, and that will affect the soil, and soil will be washed away when there is raining. And another one that is affecting the quality of the soil is overuse of fertilizers. Fertilizers, all of you know what is fertilizer. Fertilizers, and together with that pesticide also. So fertilizers are used for increasing the fertility of the soil. It is a chemical fertilizer that we are talking about. The chemical fertilizer is harmful for the soil because it reduces the natural capacity or the natural ability of the soil to produce growth. So when we use fertilizers, the chemical fertilizers, if you use biofertilizers like cow dung and so, it is good for the soil. But if you use too much chemical fertilizer, it can spoil the land. The land will lose its original quality. And people, in order to produce more, in order to get a good harvest, they keep on using fertilizers. And when we use fertilizer, the original quality or the original potentiality of the soil to produce growth is lost. Therefore, what we have to do? We have to give more fertilizer again. Next year we have to put more, and the coming year again we have to put more. So finally, we will be increasing the amount of fertilizer every year by year. Then that will spoil the more fertilizer we use, the more degraded the land becomes. And it will increase the cost of production. You know, fertilizers are very costly, and if you want to put every year more and more fertilizers into the field, then we have to purchase them and we have to spend a lot of money. Then the expense of production will go up, and at the end farmers will be suffering the loss. When they sell the paddy, the grain, they are not going to get back all that money, because for production they have to spend more money because of they are going to put a lot of fertilizers. So if you reduce the use of chemical fertilizer and use biofertilizers like cow dung and other things like rotten leaves, rotten other things like straw and so on, if you put, that will also increase the natural fertility of the soil. So that is more advisable than using these chemical fertilizers. And also same effect with the pesticide. People who are using pesticide also will destroy the land, because these fertilizers and the pesticides when we put them into the land, what happens? It slowly sinks into the ground. Especially when there is rain, together with the rainwater, slowly it will go down. And then finally it will reach the water source under the earth. And these chemicals, pesticides and the fertilizer, they are not good for health. They are very harmful for our health, and slowly they will sink into the ground, and then they will reach the water source under the earth. And this is a water source that is going to the well, where people are using, taking out water for drinking. Then this water also will reach the rivers, the lakes and so on, where there are a lot of aquatic animals are there, like fish, frogs and other animals that are living in the water. So they all will be affected, their health also will be affected. So if fish is drinking this chemical water and afterwards we are eating that fish, so our health also will be affected. So ultimately the fertilizers and the pesticides that we are using on the land, who is eating, the land gets spoiled, the water gets spoiled, and finally our health also gets spoiled. So we are doing something that is harming ourselves. We may try to produce more harvest, more grain, but ultimately we are harming ourselves. So we need to be careful. We should not use too much of fertilizers and pesticides. It is harmful not only to the soil but also to the water, and ultimately it is affecting the animals that are living on the land, the animals that are living in the water and so on. Then another thing that we need to know about the factor that is causing the soil degradation is rain. That is not by human beings. Is it not? That is one of the natural factors that are affecting the soil degradation. So when there is heavy rain, you might have seen how forcefully water is flowing. So much of water will be coming down. If it is, especially the land is a sloping land, water will be coming down with such a force from the top. And without water, it's not very pure water. It is mixed with mud. That means a lot of mud it is carrying away. So especially if the land is loose, if we have done some cutting or something, then the water will carry more soil. The more loose the soil, the more chance is there to be lost. So the rain can carry away a lot of sand, a lot of soil. Then another thing is landslide. When there is landslide, I am sure all of you must have experienced or seen some places landslide. May not be very huge or large, at least a small landslide you must have come across. So sometimes the landslides are so huge, maybe very large area like 100 meters, 200 meters area is just falling down, and all that area the land is lost. It may be along the road sometimes, so the road is lost, the transportation is affected, and people who are living in the other side of the road, they are affected. They can't travel from one side to another. So landslide also is a natural factor, a natural reason for the degradation of the soil. Another thing is flood. When there is a flood due to heavy rain, a lot of water comes up and they carry away a lot of soil, and the soil is destroyed. So these are the reasons or the factors responsible for the soil degradation. Deforestation by human beings, overgrazing by the domestic animals, and overuse of fertilizers and pesticides by the human beings. Then natural factors like rain, flood, landslide and so on. They are all responsible for the degradation of the soil. Now let us see what are the conservation measures that we can take in order to protect the soil. What are the conservation measures? What measure can we take to prevent the soil erosion, to protect our soil and so on? Let us see the conservation methods. Conservation measures. So there are many measures are suggested in order to conserve the soil, to preserve the soil, protect the soil and so on. Let us see one by one. The first one is called mulching. So what is this mulching? So the bare ground between plants is covered with a layer of organic matter like straw. It helps retain soil moisture. So sometimes we are planting things. Maybe let us say we are planting orange trees or apple trees. So we are not planting very close by. That's a gap, isn't it? So between the plants, there's a lot of free space is there. Free area is there. So that area we will cover with organic matter. Organic matter means something that can get degraded or get rotten afterwards and become part of the soil. So like straw, after the harvest we get a lot of straw. Some people what they do is they are just burning it away. That's a great harm that we are doing to the environment and also to the land. So we should allow those things to remain there and get rotten and become part of the soil. That will enrich the soil, make the soil more fertile and so on. So this kind of straws or the leaves, something we can collect and keep in the land between the plants, and that will make the land moisture. So otherwise it is exposed to the sun and the land becomes very dry. But if you keep these leaves and other bio properties or bio things, bio-organic matter, then the soil will retain moisture and it will remain fertile, it will become wet. So that will help the growth of the trees. That is one method. That's a very simple method. All of us can try in our garden. We can keep these things so that the grass will not grow there and the soil will remain moisture and so on. Then second method is contour barriers. Contour barriers. What is contour barrier? Contour means boundary. So at the boundary, if the land is there slopey, at the boundary what we need to do? We can build barriers. Barriers means block. So suppose the land is there, the hilly area, so it is the land slopey area. So the boundary we can keep stones here. No, we can block so that the water will not flow down. So we can block with, we can make a block with stones and so on. And we can also dug a trench. So at the boundary make a drain like. So all the water that is coming from top will remain in this drain. So water will not flow down. It will remain there and it will sink down to the ground. That will help us to increase the ground level water. So very often the water is simply flowing down and it is lost. It may reach the lake and lost. But if you make a trench here or a nala here, the water will remain here. Slowly it will sink into the ground and that will increase the ground level water, underground level water. That is a very good thing. The soil will remain wet and the plants can grow faster. So that is the second method. Contour barriers, making contour barriers. The third one is making rock dam. What is rock dam? Rocks are piled up to slow down the flow of water. This prevents gullies and further soil loss. So second one also is, third one also is like rock dam. You know what is rock or dam? Across the river we build wall to block the flow of water and create a dam. Same way we can keep stone here, make a block here, so that the speed of the water will be reduced. The water will come and remain here, the block will stop. Then again another place make another block. So we keep on he keep with the stones, make a block so that water will stop and will reduce the speed of the water so that the mud will not be carried away. Then another thing is terrace farming. Another thing that we can do is terrace farming. I hope you are aware about what is terrace farming. So, if the land is a very slopy land, we can change the shape of the land by making terrace. So, we cut down the land and make it. So, the land before it was slopy land, now it become level land. Now we can cut down again and make another land. So, this is called terrace farming. So we need to cut the land and make it plain land. That is called terrace farming. If it is a slopy area, then water will flow very fast and it will carry away a lot of soil. But if it is made terrace, then the flow of water, the speed of the water will be very less. It will not have much force to carry lot of soil, so soil will be safe. Then another method is intercropping. From the name itself we can understand intercropping. That means having different crops in between. So we plant something. Let us say we are planting orange trees. Again, let's take the example of orange trees. So it will remain. And in between a lot of spaces are there, maybe we can plant some other things. Maybe what are the things? We can plant some minor crops, maybe like beans or cabbage or other vegetables. So the soil will remain protected. Otherwise, the sun hits the ground and the ground becomes very dry. So this intercropping is good. Or let's say we are planting wheat, and after wheat we can plant something else, maybe potatoes or maybe vegetables. So this kind of intercroppings are good. Or simultaneously also we can plant. One line there is potato, another line there is cabbage, another line maybe another vegetable, carrot, let's say. So different lines, so that when one vegetable is harvested, another one is there to protect the soil. If the soil remains free and loose, then it can be lost. It is a great danger to the soil. Then another thing is contour plowing. We already said what is contour, the boundary. Contour means the boundary. So if the soil is a sloppy area, so if the soil is the land is a sloppy area, then we have the boundary here. So what we need to do? We need to have the boundary here at the end of our land. Then when we do plowing, don't plow like this. So this way plowing means that mark will be there in the land and water will flow through that mark. Then the speed will be very high. So instead of plowing this way, what we need to do? Plow along the boundary line. So make line this way. If you are plowing with a tractor or plowing with buffalo or bull or whatever it is, make it this way. Go from along the boundary line so that the mark will remain like this and the water cannot flow down very fast. Water will be controlled. The speed of the water will be controlled. Then another thing that we can do is making shelter belt. We can create shelter belt. What is this shelter belt? In the coastal and dry regions. So coastal means near the sea, or in the dry regions, the places like desert areas and so on, or where there is very less rain. What we can do? Rows of trees are planted to check the wind movement to protect soil cover. So there along the coastal area or in the dry region, what we can do is we plant a lot of trees, especially in line, so that the speed of the wind will be reduced. So, in the coastal area or in the dry region, the main agent of soil erosion is not water, it is the wind. Because there is lack of rain, the area will be dry always, and when the wind comes, all the topsoil is just flying away in the wind. So if you plant a lot of trees, what happens? The speed of the wind will be reduced and the wind will not be able to carry the soil along with them. So they will be able to, the trees will be able to protect the soil. So the planting of the trees are also not only just with their root they help to protect the soil, but the trees themselves try to block the wind, try to reduce the speed of the wind so that from the dry region the soil will not be flying away. So these are the methods or measures that we can take in order to conserve our soil. So we said the soil is so precious and therefore we have to do the level best in order to protect our soil. So some of these are very easy. Even as students we can practice, like planting trees, putting organic manure in the land to cover it to get moisture, or to even you can tell your parents or your elders how they should plow, how they should make contour barriers, all those things. So the knowledge that you acquire, don't just keep it for yourself or not just for exam, but it is all meant for practical life. So make use of it and try to protect the soil, try to enrich the earth. So we shall wind up for today. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. We will meet you again in the next